Colorado head coach Deion Sanders says players are quitting on him in the most important part of the season.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I'm your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. We're also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So, like I said, thank you for making me your first listen. I'm Kevin Borba, host of the show. I also cover all things college football for Athlon Sports. And joining me is former Buff himself, Jordan Domineck. Jordan, we had the bye week off, right? We didn't convene last week, but we come back this week and Coach Prime's accusing his players of quitting on him. And I think if you watch the video, and I'll read people the quote so they don't just think I'm making stuff up here. He said, and I quote, "Some people just out here. They already quit. They'll shut it down because they know they have no future in this," right? And he's essentially talking about a lack of effort that he's seen from the team. Now, you said off air that you got not you specifically, but your team got a very similar speech from Coach Prime. When he says people are quitting and he says people are shutting it down, what does he actually mean, right? Because this is a very important part of the season for Colorado. They're 3 wins away from a bowl game, and they still can control their own destiny.
So when he says that they're quitting, there's a mentality that a team needs to have whenever they're playing football. Coming off a bye week, you need to be refreshed. You need to come in and you need to come in with a quick tempo. You need to be ready. You should be well rested. You should be over your little injuries and bruises and nicks and scrapes and everything. And he's looking for a team that's revitalized and willing to show, hey, we're not done yet. We're out here. We're still playing. We're still banging. And we still want to be out here to win. We still have a goal in mind for the rest of the season. We still want to go out there and at least make a bowl game, try and win out the rest of the season. But he's not seeing that from his team, apparently. I didn't really watch their entire practice film. I saw, well off media and Bucky and everything that they show. And it seems like there's a lack of effort. It's more that players are really just trying to go through the motions of getting through the practice. And I don't know if it's truly the mentality of the players where it's like, you know what, I'm done with the season, or if it's just, hey, I'm coming off a bye week. I didn't do anything for a week. I'm feeling lazy and I tried to slowly get back into it, but that's not what Coach Prime wants. I guess time will tell the upcoming game this week, but I feel like Coach Prime is seeing something that he doesn't like within his team. And within that, he's seeing that a lot of players are just not in the headspace and not moving the way that they should be moving on the field. They're not attacking the field with tenacity. They're not going out there and really trying to become better with each day. He knows that a lot of players that not everybody goes to the NFL, obviously, not everybody goes play pro football, but even if you're not, you're still on the team. You're still there to make a name for yourself. He's giving players plenty of opportunities to, whether it's on the field, be a starter, whether it's go out there and earn a spot. And he even has scrimmages for, scout team players and everything, so that if they want to get film and they're deciding to enter the transfer portal, hey, you have your film, you can show what you can do. I'm not going to hold you from, making a name for yourself and making something happen elsewhere. I mean, it's not, orthodox for a coach to tell their players, hey, I understand that you're not going to be here next year. But at the end of the day, he's just keeping it real with them. Like, a lot of people are deciding, hey, I'm going to hop into this portal. Hey, I'm going to do this. Hey, I'm going to do that. But even then, you still have to have the mentality of, hey, I'm going to go out here, put great stuff on film, because everything that you do is being filmed. So no matter what happens, you can go into the next season, whether you're still with Colorado, whether you're, you know, at another school or whatever, you can go into that next season with a great mentality, great film. You coaches know what to expect from you, and you just hit the ground running.
Yeah, and I think the thing that stands out to me about him saying guys are quitting on him is, like, to me, as someone who's not in that locker room, it probably, like, if I had to guess without your obviously insight, it would have just been like guys are upset about their roles or something. Do you think that's a factor as well? Like, we are at the point of the season where I feel like guys have a pretty firm grasp on where they are on the roster. Do you think that's part of it as well?
I feel like that plays a part in their mentality. If they decide, oh, I'm not playing as much as I feel like I should or whatever, they might not be giving it as much, which shouldn't be the case at all, because at the end of the day, you can still go out there, make a name for yourself. You can still go out there and set yourself up, even if it's not for the next game or this game. You can set yourself up for next season, because hey, there's still a lot of football to be played. Like, you can't let the role that you're in, whether it's first string, second string, third string, scout team, determine the kind of player you are. You have to be that player day in and day out. And I've seen it myself, where players that are scout team players that really were at Colorado before Coach Prime got there and didn't really have too much of a name for themselves come out there and ball. And the main person that comes to my mind is Charlie Offerdahl.
I was gonna say
You knew I
Charlie.
was going to.
As soon as you said
Charlie.
get an opportunity, I was like, this is going Charlie, right?
This is going Charlie for sure. Charlie was a player that was a scout team player, and he went out there, he put his head down, he grinded, he was a workhorse every day, he made plays, and he ended up earning a scholarship. And due to off the field, things, he ended up stop playing football, but now he's a very successful person off the field.
Mhm.
And I love that for him. And he understood that, hey, even if I don't play football for the rest of my life, I'm still doing something that I can use to utilize in the outside world. And he has his connections with football and everything like that. And I feel like he's doing pretty well for himself. He's very successful with everything that he does. So it's not just about, oh, I'm just out here to play and I'm just, oh, a second stringer. They can't have that mentality of like, oh, I'm not the role that I need to be. It plays a bit into the mentality of they have, but I really feel like I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. And it's like, I'm coming off a bye week. I didn't really do anything too much. I'm just being a little lazy going into it starting, but I feel like Colorado's gonna shape up, and they're gonna have to shape up going into this next week, because they have a really good team in Utah and a really good quarterback.
Yeah, they do. And there's another quote I wanted to touch on before we move on, and this is from Chidozie Nwankwo, who was on the team last year, defensive tackle, really hard-nosed guy, nickname the block bully, great nickname if you ask me. He came and spoke to the team, and I can't exactly say what he said on this show, but I have the video up if you want to go watch it on X. And he said, and he was talking to individuals on the team, and he just was sort of going off about how he wasn't seeing the passion, the effort. And he said, a lot of you are lazier than a insert blank, right? And
Mhm.
so when you hear a coach talking about people quitting, and then you hear a player come in from last year and be like, you guys are lazy, does that concern you? Or is that just like you said, a bye week thing that they could fix, or both?
It definitely concerns the people within the organization, because hey, we're coming into a week where it's a huge game and we have to play. We don't want to start the week off slow, because every time you start a week off slow, it always ends up, it's like you starting a game off slow. Every day, what I was told by a coach was, every day that you practice is a quarter. So Monday is your first quarter, Tuesday is your second quarter, Wednesday is your third quarter, Thursday is your fourth quarter. And that's the way that you have to attack each day. Each day is a new tempo. So you can't come in and have a lazy, Monday, because then it's going to be a lazy first quarter that just like translates to the game. And he might not think the same way, but I feel like a lot of coaches abide by that rule of like, okay, we have to have a good start off to the week, because if we don't, then it's just going to be downhill from here. So I wouldn't say that it's concerning to, like, to the point where it's red flags and we're in emergency mayday lockdown situation right now. But it is concerning to see that your players coming out and just being lazy, and to have an older player that, granted, is a great football player. He could be on the professional level right now as we speak. It's just, the luck of the cards, I guess, at this point. But for him to come back and one of a renowned players, a leader from the last year, and say that y'all are lazy, then there's an issue, because you have somebody that's from an outside perspective, that's also a player, not even far removed from y'all, telling y'all are looking lazy. People that he was on the team with last year, he's saying the same thing. So there is definitely an issue, and they're gonna have to fix that going into the next couple of days. Not even the next couple of days. They're gonna have to fix that by tomorrow, and up that tempo basically, and show that they are there to play. They are there to win. They do have goals that they want to reach and want to achieve, and when they do that tomorrow, which I have faith in them, they'll write it off and we'll be good.
Yeah. And when him and Coach Prime were talking to the guys, obviously it's a part of sports where you get chewed out a little bit. But when Coach Prime hits that level, it's a little scary, no? It's like, oh,
Mhm.
it's like Coach Prime, he's feeling it today, right? Like when he's talking about how they have no future in this, like, or guys know they have no future in this. It's like the one thing I admire about Coach Prime is he is never going to worry about your feelings. Like he's going to say what needs to be said, because as someone who's played at literally the highest level possible, he knows what it takes. And so it's like, if you can't be coached by him and can't be motivated by him, then I don't know what motivates you. So that has to be sort of a humbling speech to give. Jordan, on a scale of 1 to 10, when Coach Prime gave you the "you guys are quitting" speech, how fast was your heart racing from 1 to 10? 10 being the most, 1 being the least.
It was on like a solid 8, because I'm like, oh wow, like this is
You're like, he's up
like,
in it.
yeah, like this is something like, and like the crazy thing is, my heart was beating just because I knew like he wasn't wrong. And I
Yeah.
remember the day that he gave us that speech.
Talk to us. Well, what
And
was
I'm
the
not
day?
even trying to, I'm not even trying to brag on us, but the defensive ends, I remember Coach Nick was not there that week. And we had Coach Gabe, and we were doing just our individual drills at the very beginning of practice or whatever. And we started off and it was looking like, terrible or whatever. We had a little come to Jesus meeting like for 30 seconds. Hey, tighten this up. Like, this ain't how we supposed to be looking and everything like that. Got back into it, went at the tempo that we were going at, that we needed to be at. And Coach Prime came over and commended us and was like, hey, you guys are one of the only groups that actually, or you are the only group that's out here and playing like you actually want to be here. So, we took a little, pride in that, as like, okay, we're here and we're actually showing that we want to be here and we want to play.
Yeah.
And, it was just that from there. Like, it showed on the field, like who actually wanted to play and who doesn't. And we'll see as the week progresses and as this game comes around, who truly wants to be out there and who wants to play and who's, just going through the motions.
Yeah, and I think there's a saying, and I think this goes for a lot. A lot of this is said, especially about football, but this can be said about every sport. Is you can never control how much talent you have, but you can always control your effort. And especially in football, where they film literally everything, like not just in Colorado, like every school films their practices and stuff. They notice effort, and if they don't notice it during practice, they will notice it eventually in the game or when they rewatch the footage. So great insight there from you, Jordan. When we come back, we're going to talk about the difficulties of defending a mobile quarterback. Colorado's playing Utah this week, and they have 2 very, very dynamic quarterbacks that could give the Buffs some trouble. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, saving, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. It's helped me organize my accounts, track my spending, and get a better handle on my investments without having to touch a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunity, slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarch.com, 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. This episode of Locked On Buffs is also brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets. What do you love about FanDuel? Well, it's simply makes the sport a little bit more exciting, right? Sometimes you're watching those 1 o'clock games, and it's like, okay, all these teams suck. You put a little money on the game, and you got a little something right on the action. It makes it a little bit more fun, a little bit more enticing. So whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Joining me today, as he does every Tuesday-ish, Wednesday-ish, is Jordan Domineck, former Buff himself. Jordan, let's talk defending mobile quarterbacks. Now, that has been something that gives Colorado issues. It's no secret, right? Haynes King had their way with them in week 1. And they also had some issues, not to as much of a degree, but Josh Hoover, Connor Wigman at Houston torched them with his legs. Bear Bachmeier at BYU had a big game with his legs. And so this week they're playing against Devon Dampier. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with Devon Dampier, transferred in from New Mexico, honestly reminds me a lot of like a Lamar Jackson, Johnny Manziel electric type of quarterback where you get him in open space. If you don't get him down, he's going to put you on his highlight tape. You're going to be on the mixtape. You're going to be shook out of your shoes. That's just how it goes, right? And he's a little banged up, and there's a chance he might not play, but their backup, his name is Bird Ficklin, excuse me. He is also very dynamic. So, Jordan, let's just talk in general. Defending extremely athletic quarterbacks, why is it difficult, and what do you need to do to contain them?
So the difficulty of defending a quarterback that is able to move, that can use the legs, is that there's a threat from all angles. As a defensive pass rusher, you have to be able to rush the ball while also cutting off escape lanes. If you allow a quarterback to get out, he's going to be able to make a play. He's going to be able to make something happen with his legs. That puts a lot of pressure on the defensive front, and in turn, that puts a lot of pressure on the back end because not only are they covering, wide receivers running down the field, they also have to be aware of, hey, the quarterback can run too. I might have to come out of coverage and make a open field tackle. To be able to guard a lot of mobile quarterbacks, a lot of teams have been implementing using a spy, and we saw that against Caden Salter a lot of this season. That's probably going to be the best way for Colorado to be able to stop a mobile quarterback because they haven't shown that they have a pass rush capable of not only corralling and keeping the quarterback in the pocket, but also being able to reset and also retrace back to the football if the quarterback does make it out. Um, and that's just Colorado just has a decision to make. Who are they more confident in? Whether they're more confident in their D line of being able to corral the quarterback, or they're more confident in their back end players of guarding 4 or 5, receivers with five or six DBs. If you have a spy, you're going to have to bring a linebacker down from coverage because they do like to drop 7, drop 8, cover 2. They do have a lot of man, principles, and we might see a lot more man with maybe 1 or 2 spies of the linebackers at this point. It's really just a decision for Colorado to decide who they trust more in. And I feel like as a defensive lineman, we should have more trust to know that we could go out there and attack the quarterback, corral him, stop him from using his legs. But the defensive line has not shown that over the past few games. And as much as I hate to say it, they're going to have to bring a spy down to be able to watch that quarterback, make sure he stays in the pocket, or at least gives the DBs time to come out of coverage if the quarterback does decide to run.
2 questions. When it comes to a spy, does it have to be a linebacker? Like, obviously it doesn't have to be, but like, would you rather it be a linebacker or like say it's someone like London Merritt, who's the true freshman that I think he leads the team in pressures, right? He's shown that he has the athleticism. Would you rather do that or would you rather go with a linebacker? And then follow-up question, and this is about the man principles, which do you think Colorado should stray away from their man coverage a little bit to help with containing the quarterback?
So to answer the first question, I would love to see
London
he was
Merritt.
an outside. Yeah, he's an outside linebacker, correct?
Yeah, he's been an
Yeah.
edge rusher for them, yeah.
I would love to see him as the QB spy, but then again, that would bring the defensive line to a 3-man front. And how much pressure can they get with a 3-man front? That would be the main question for them.
Okay.
I would love to see him as a spy, but then again, that would be taking him out of the pass rush, which would now, lead to possibly less pressures on the quarterback to force him up into a pocket and force him to throw.
Okay.
So it's just a game of gambling. Do you
It's
believe
like
that
a
an
game of
outside
like,
linebacker?
what are you okay to give up, honestly, is what it feels like.
Exactly. So he could possibly be that QB spy, and I love the athleticism from him. I feel like he could make something happen with his legs. I feel like he would be a good spy, but then again, do you take the risk of taking him out of the pass rush and now gambling with what you have left?
Okay.
Or do you try to use a linebacker as a QB spy while you have Ford rushing the passer? Because Colorado doesn't have the greatest, pressure ratio out of D lines across the nation, but they do have some pretty good pressure. And I feel like if they were to take any piece of it and try to turn it into a 3-man situation, or try to take one of their key pass rushers out of the rush and put him more into a coverage situation, that
Yeah.
might backfire against them. So I
Okay.
would honestly go with a linebacker.
Okay.
Now, in the back end man mentality, I feel like they could decide to go to more zone principles and everything like that, which they do at times. But then again, if they were to go zone, that would take another player out of a spy situation because now the zones are covered. Yeah, you have less people for a zone if you were to have a spy. And imagine you're rushing for, you have you have a fifth of the spy. Now you have 6 men guarding 5 on zone coverages. The most you could do is probably be like a cover 3 or a cover 2 or 4 under,
Okay.
and that just leaves so many gaps on the field. And I feel like the best thing that they would want to do is to keep that mentality of man with the help over the top and basically just corral them down to short yardage. They would have to get a good QB rush. They have to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand. They have to make the quarterback give the ball up. They can't let him run. They can't let him get out. They can't let him move his feet. So it's all going to come back down to the pass rush and the pass coverage working together.
Okay.
Um,
That's
yeah.
great. Great. It's great. I mean, that's what we need to know. And I wonder if it changes. Like, say Dampier's out, right? He's the
Mhm.
veteran. I think he's the more dynamic of the two in general. True freshman making his first career start. What do you do on defense then? Like, what strategy would you go with? Would you go strictly man or zone? And like, just what would you do if you were calling the defense?
So until he shows us what he can do as a defensive coordinator, me myself, I would throw 5 man pressures at him.
Okay.
I wouldn't worry about a quarterback spy. I'll worry about 5 man blitzes with a man coverage and see if he can actually make something happen with his feet.
Okay.
Um, if he does end up making something happen, we'll have to adjust. We'll have to treat him as he comes. So if he is a mobile quarterback that can make stuff happen with his feet, we'd have to go back to the man coverage with a spy on the back end. If he's more so able to check out of it and make quick, decisive passes, we would stop with the 5 man blitz and just go with a 4 man coverage, with a 4 man pass rush and a 7 man coverage.
Okay. So really just depends on what he shows you, right? If he's just
Yeah,
slicing and dicing, then you got to make an adjustment. But if he shows he gets a little nervous in the pocket, it's like, okay, we're just going to keep pressuring him to death, right? And
exactly.
that's just sort of the mentality you have to have. Okay, that's Jordan Domineck's lesson, Professor Dominic over here on defense, right? Professor Dom. We're going to take a quick break, and then Professor Dom is going to tell us his 3 keys to succeeding off of a bye week. But first, a quick break. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at GameTime. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. There's tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's nothing like it, but let's be real. Actually getting the tickets, that could feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use GameTime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download GameTime today. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Jordan, Colorado had a bye week, right? They're coming off a huge win over Iowa State, which feels like a long time ago. And that's the weird thing about bye weeks is like
Hmm.
it's like a cool thing because if you go on a high note, it's like awesome, but like how do we keep that energy going forward? Or for you guys, I'm going to bring up a very salty memory. I apologize, but you guys went on the bye week after the Stanford game, which was
Hmm.
obviously a very tough game. So you had 2 weeks to think about that game, basically. So Colorado has 2 weeks to think about a win and to also be ready for one of the better teams in the Big 12. So what are the 3 keys to sort of handling the bye week?
So the first thing you need to do when you go into a bye week is rest and recovery.
Mhm.
No matter what, that's the main thing. That's the first thing that you need to worry about. Get your body back right. It's been a long season. This is your time to actually recover. Go get into the Normatec boots. Go get into the hot and cold tub. Go get your treatment. Do as much as you can to get your body feeling as good as you were when you first got back onto the field. Everybody's feeling it after this point in the season. I know I
Mhm.
was feeling it. I
Okay.
still get clicks in my shoulder at some points, but the amount of treatment I had to do for it was crazy. That'll be the first thing. The second thing to coming back and winning a week is the way that they start. What is the mentality on that first day? What is that Monday like? We talked about it earlier. How are they coming?
Monday looked like it could have been better if I'm being it just
Monday,
based off the video.
obviously, like there's some good stuff that happened out there that we didn't see, but there
Yeah.
had to be more bad than good. And Coach Prime knows this, and he knows, hey, we have to start better. We have to do better. If he could reset the week, he could, but it's just time lost. At this point now, we have to show that we can finish out the week really strong.
Mhm.
So that's the second thing, starting the week off strong. They weren't able to do that, but they do have time to turn it around. The third thing, game plan. How well are you going to be able to go when you go up? How well are you going to be able to game plan for both of these quarterbacks, not just one?
Mhm.
How well are you going to be able to get your players focused back in
Yeah.
to be able to play, the new defensive scheme that they run, the new offensive scheme that they run. At this point in the season, coaches have done a self-analysis of like, okay, we've run these plays in so much of the time. Now it's time to switch up the playbook. It's time to switch up the signals. It's time to switch things up. Not everything is going to stay the same throughout the season. I feel like right now, over the bye week, they were implementing not necessarily new, but different forms and different schemes for different plays now on the
Okay.
offensive side and defensive side of the ball. So I feel like we're going to see a little, excuse me, I feel like we're going to see a little bit of
Like differentiation in there.
differentiation. I was going to say like a little diversification of it a little
Yeah. Yeah.
bit when it comes to offensive scheming and defensive scheming. I feel like we're going to see a couple things new that Colorado hasn't done this season.
Okay.
Um, I feel like that's what they were doing over the bye week, was implementing a new game plan with that as well. So do believe that Colorado has been, mainly focused on that. And even though they did have a bye week, I feel like they still do have practices and whatnot. There's not just like, oh, we're off, we're not doing anything. They're still having meetings, they're still having practices, they're still going through everything and learning things.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, at
It's-
this point,
yeah.
it's just I feel like we're gonna see a few new things coming up this Saturday that the
Few
coaches
new
game
wrinkles.
plan for.
We like to see it. We like to see it. Hopefully they handled the bye week well. I do think the hard part about the well-off media videos is like they're only so long. Like we don't get to see the full 2 hour, 3 hour practices. So we don't know
Mhm.
all the positives that happened, but clearly Coach Prime felt the need to be like, hey, let's step it up. So hopefully they listened to Professor Domineck here and followed his 3 keys to success, because this is a very winnable game. I think Utah has shown that they are fragile, has shown that they are vulnerable. The 2 times they've been tested this year, they've lost. So I think Colorado could really give them a run for their money and continue to make a statement. So appreciate you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. And we will see you guys next week.